Thursday, February 20th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Meteorologist Matthew East here along with you, and there is a look at your 5 o'clock hour temperatures. A lot of 50s on the board. Pretty mild start to the day in many locations across the region. 54 Charlotte, Raleigh, and Greenville, 56 in Fayetteville, 50 degrees in Greensboro, a little cooler there in Boone at 36 degrees. And winds right now out of the south or east, and they're pretty light. Now what will happen is a warm front will lift through today, and we'll see those winds gradually kick around to more of a southerly component, and they'll really start to crank tonight just in advance of our next storm system. A little bit of light rain showing up on the radar in some spots this morning. A lot of what you see is actually not making it to the ground. The radar beam is hitting some of the low-hanging cloud cover. But we could see a few isolated showers today. It's raining heavily in parts of Iowa and northern Illinois and into Wisconsin, and the precipitation actually heavy enough in a few spots there in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin that's drawing that colder air aloft down to the surface and being a burst of pretty heavy wet snow. A few thunderstorms right now in Kansas, in the eastern part of the state, western parts of Kansas and Nebraska, seeing some snow. This is the very beginnings of our next storm system, and this is probably going to wind up being a pretty good severe weather producer in some locations. Now, let's take a peek at the overall setup. There's that low pressure taking shape off to the west. Again, this warm front will be lifting through our region with time as we go through the course of today. It's going to be a challenging high temperature forecast. It's going to depend on exactly how much sunshine any one location sees. A lot of it's probably in the 60s, but if there's more sun than anticipated, we could see 70s again. And there comes that next band of rain and storms. That'll sweep in here tomorrow morning here in many spots. Now here's a look at the overall setup. Watch the thunderstorms ignite this afternoon and this evening over the Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley. Kind of a linear setup here with the thunderstorms. So you're looking back in the Mississippi Valley region and the Tennessee Valley at damaging winds being the main severe weather threat, but there could be some of those embedded tornadoes within the line back that way. Now that system gets into the Carolinas tomorrow morning. I think it is a lessened severe weather threat here. I can't rule out a strong or severe storm tomorrow morning along the I-85 corridor, and then toward midday and afternoon, I-95 and points east. I just at this point don't think it's going to be a huge problem. There's your day one severe weather outlook. I'll show you the probabilities in just a second. And there's the day two outlook. Now let's get into some of the more detailed modeling. There's the European upper air chart valid this afternoon. Watch this trough really sharpen up as we head on toward tonight. There you go. And then that swings off to our north by tomorrow morning. At the surface, you wind up with something like this. There's the European model for this afternoon and this evening. Actually, this is this evening. The thunderstorms along and ahead of that front, and then those get here tomorrow morning and progress east from there. Now the instability parameters, let me show you a couple charts. This is off the RPM model, and this is valid early this evening. And you can see some pretty good values of CAPE. And that is a value, a measure of instability. Pretty good values of CAPE working up there in the parts of the Mississippi Valley. And then as you get on into tomorrow morning, some there, but not a whole lot. So this is going to be another low CAPE, high shear type of setup in terms of the Carolinas. Now there's your, again, your day one severe weather outlook. That's the tornado probabilities, 5% areas there covering much of Mississippi, western Alabama, and western Tennessee and Kentucky. And then there's the wind probabilities, a 30% hatched area running from North Mississippi up into southernmost Indiana. So it looks like a pretty decent severe weather threat in those areas today. Into this evening and tonight. Now there again is your day two outlook. Probabilities for day two, only a 15% probability. That is what is required to get a day two slight risk. So again, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem, but there might be a few wind-producing thunderstorms in the Carolinas tomorrow. We will certainly keep a watch on it, as always. Now let's go out to next week. This is Tuesday. Remember that previous run earlier in the week of the European that deepened that big low overhead and produced a winter storm Tuesday. That has not really shown up again in the modeling since that point in time, but there's plenty of interesting things to look at out there in the longer range. There's 156 hours on the European. That's Wednesday morning. A little bit of light precipitation. And actually the Canadian, too. This is a little bit earlier, but this is Tuesday of next week with a little bit of light precip. So maybe a little system around Tuesday or Wednesday doesn't at this point look terribly significant. But then out to the longer range, look at that. That's Friday evening of next week, and then that is Saturday morning. That's a big system moving through, and that is a true southern branch system. That's what it looks like in the upper levels. That piece originates out here in the Pacific Ocean. That is not a northern branch piece of energy digging. That's a southern branch piece of energy digging that results in that scenario I just showed you. So we'll see. There'll be. I threw this other chart in here too very quickly. Let me find it for you. I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, there we go. This is the GFS model Thursday off the 0Z run. This is brutally cold air. The northern plains and the Great Lakes seeping southward. And this is going to be one of those setups as we go toward mid and late next week and maybe extending into early March. And then the northern fringes I should say the southern fringes of the cold air mass. That's where you could get maybe some fun and games with more potential wintry weather somewhere there throughout the upper southeast. We will see. Nothing concrete yet, but there's the potential for something to go on there down the road with that really cold air around, and it looks like the storm track getting fairly active. All right, that is it for today. Everybody have a wonderful day, and God bless.